So I'm Giles, I'm from what3words, and we have developed a global addressing system because actually the world is really quite badly addressed. Talking about a location can be really challenging. The UN have said that 75% of the countries in the world don't have a well-maintained or any street addressing system. So no postcodes, no zip codes, no house numbers or street names, anything that kind of approximates a way of talking about a location. And that's pretty bad. That means like 4 billion people in the world are essentially invisible to the state. It's difficult to open a bank account. It's difficult to get aid. It's difficult to vote. And in the 25% of the countries in the world that do have a good addressing system, actually it's still pretty flawed. It's still difficult to meet your friends. Packages still get lost. Because in many parts of the world, if you have duplications. So if I go into London and I say, take me to Church Street, there's about 300 different church streets in London. Which one do you pick? And if you want to meet someone on a beach, or there's a pop-up restaurant you want to go to, or you want to meet someone at a park, it's really difficult to talk specifically about that location. And of course, when you're traveling with different character sets, different languages, it becomes really difficult. There was a story recently about a tourist in Iceland, and he wanted to go to Lagervögr. But instead, he typed in Lagervögr into his sat-nav. He missed out 1 R. And the difference between those two places is a 4-hour, 45-minute drive. Just by missing 1 R out. The places sound exactly the same. So even with street addressing, it's problematic. And this affects like everything that we do, from your Nike Run app to your Uber. How many times has someone got the phone call from the Uber driver and said, you're here? No, actually, can you see? I'm jumping, I'm waving, pick me up here. To your delivery within the hour. Drone deliveries. How can you do drone deliveries without a decent addressing system? So UPS have said if they save each of their drivers 1 mile per driver per day, that's a $50 million saving immediately, just by getting a little bit less lost. 80% of calls at festivals are where are you calls. A third of people get lost at festivals. And then in the UK, when Britons are traveling, we spend 22 million hours a year lost. The number one cause of arguments when you're traveling is all around navigation. So there's a kind of fundamental impact for poor addressing. You could put in a street addressing system, but that takes decades and costs tens of millions of pounds to do. You could use landmark-based addressing. This is a guy in Afghanistan delivering a letter. It took him an afternoon to deliver one letter, because these are the sort of directions that you get. You can drop a pin, which is fine, but it's not particularly flexible. You can't tell someone or write down a pin. So digital to digital, pin is fine. But actually in the real world, it's less than ideal. The only real option that you've got is GPS coordinates, lat long, which are fantastically accurate, but they're really difficult to use and they're really prone to error. You very rarely say, I'll meet you at the pub at 25 degrees, 9 minutes, 40.918 seconds south. I mean, you've forgotten the beginning by the time you've finished the first set of numbers. So what we set out to do was come up with a user-friendly version of GPS coordinates. And so what we've done is we've divided the world up into squares, 3-meter squares. There's 57 trillion 3-meter squares in the world. And then we've allocated each one a 3-word address. So 3 words from the dictionary to describe any spot on the planet. Words are much more memorable than random strings of numbers and letters. So we have a tiny algorithm, about 10 megabytes, that translates GPS to words and back again. And it means that for deliveries, for aid, for just meeting friends, you've now got a really simple way to do it. And what we've done in English, we've replicated in 11 languages, and we've got 15 more on the slate. We launch Arabic next month, We're working on 4 Indian languages. We've got Greek launching next year. And just to kind of illustrate this point for travel in particular, if you look on a Google Maps view of a particularly beautiful waterfall in Mexico, you see absolutely nothing. You flip to satellite view and you can kind of see what it is, but actually this is like a stunning, stunning, stunning place at pictured Pheasant's Handball. That's the location of it. So all of a sudden you can be really, really simple about describing locations. So we have an app that allows you to find and share and use and get directions to a 3-word address. But more importantly, we've got code. We've got a very small piece of code that other businesses are taking and building into their tech. We're currently used in about 170 different countries by a whole range of different businesses. I'll run through a few of them now. So this is a delivery company in Carlichi in Cape Town, and he delivers prescription medicines to people in the townships. And in a moment you'll see some drone footage of kind of what he has to deal with. There's no street addressing system to speak of, and so he used three words to give addresses to all of his customers so he can scale his business faster, he can bring on couriers quicker. So on the one end, you've got delivering medicine to the townships, and on the other end of the scale, you've got Glastonbury Festival. You've got 200,000 people in a field in the middle of rural England, and they used us there for first aid response. And obviously, people used us there to try and remember where they left their tent and to meet friends. Someone sent us this footage. I expect a full sing-along.
Sometimes see you pass outside my door.
1, 2, 3.
Come on, help me now.
Hello. We used a variety of festivals where they actually print us on maps, so you can then type it into the app and navigate there. But we're used in lots and lots of different ways. Someone has addressed the over 2,000 various wild swimming spots in the world with their 3-word address. And if you look at the lat long that you would have to type into your sat-nav versus crawling soulfully dehydrator, it's a much easier way of navigating. We're being used for helicopter landing zones around the world. All of the private helicopter landing spots in the world now have a 3-word address. We're being used in travel guides. So it's a guide to a particular part of Ireland, and every single one of their spots has now got a 3-word address. Ireland doesn't have a postcode system, by the way. The Hedonist Guide has given a 3-word address to all of the coolest bars, restaurants, hotels, and shops in 50 of the coolest cities around the world. So basically, if you have a business that's difficult to find, use a 3-word address to help people do that. So we're being used by the Landmark Hotel Group in Dubai, and people are just coming across it and using it. This is a guy that's done a pop-up gallery, and he's named his gallery after the 3-word address for the front door. So lots of people are using it to address places, but others are taking our code and building it into their app so you can actually get there as well. So NavMe is the largest offline navigation app in the world, driving directions and walking directions. Our system works offline, so you don't need a data connection. And they will recognize a 3-word address and give you turn-by-turn directions to that specific spot. TripGo is a city planning app as well, so it'll give you public transport directions to a 3-word address as well. And we're also starting to get built into taxi apps as well. So this is a taxi service, motorbike taxi service in India. It's actually women-only drivers for women-only passengers because they have a few issues there around attacks. And to make it that much safer, they're also building 3-word addresses in for the pickup point and the drop-off point, so people minimize the amount of time that they spend on the streets. And then you take it to the next stage. We're talking to a number of car manufacturers, about the service as well. So you can get into your car, say a 3-word address, and it will recognize it. And because that is the only combination of that 3-word address anywhere on the planet, it knows exactly where you need to get to. Audi recently went on a road trip around Brazil in their Q7, and they documented every single stop along the way with the 3-word address. And they ended up at. So you can use a 3-word address to address your business or meet your friends. You can use navigation, taxi apps to get there, and you'll soon be able to use it in car. And we've just signed a deal with the government of Mongolia. So Mongol Post will now be using 3 Mongolian words to deliver parcels and packages and letters around the country. They've got a population of 3 million, a third of which are nomadic. They move on a fairly regular basis, so that makes deliveries fairly problematic. So we've recently signed a deal with them. We've released a Mongolian version of the app and the service, and so you'll be able to put a 3-word address on a package, and it will get to the right person, which dramatically grows their business and the kind of social and economic value of the country, because all of a sudden you've got that million people kind of connected into business and into the business ecosystem. We just closed our Series B. We got investment from Intel Capital and Horizons Ventures, and Aramex led the round. So Aramex are a large delivery company, global delivery company based in the Middle East. They've invested, and they're also using us for their last mile delivery. The last mile accounts for about 30% of all delivery costs. So it's an opportunity to make that business much more efficient. So we're on a bit of a mission. We want to make the world much more efficient, a less frustrating and a safer place. And we believe that we can do that with just 3 simple words. That's me.